Okay, I think that's better.
You still sound good for us or for me.
Oh, nope, you guys are very echoey. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, we are live streaming and I'm sharing my screen again. See if we get video to work. And we'll get started in just a couple minutes. If you're on, thank you for joining us. We will start just after 3 o'clock.
All right, it's 3 o'clock. Should I kick it off, Katie?
Sure, that'd be great. Thanks,
Okay.
Dave.
So thank you all so much for spending some time with us to do this proposed rulemaking hearing for the Land and Water Conservation Fund program rules. My name is Naomi Enciso. I'm the Land and Water Conservation Fund program coordinator. And we also have Katie and Michelle here with us. I'll let you both introduce yourselves.
Hi, thanks, Naomi. Katie Gauthier. I'm the External Relations Manager and Rule Coordinator for this rulemaking.
Hi, I'm Michelle Scalise. I'm the manager of the Grants and Community Programs section at OPRD.
Awesome. So on the next slide here we go, is the agenda for today. We're going to give you some background on the program. We'll go through the proposed changes, and we're also going to talk about the process and how you can submit your comments. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. So just a little background on the program. The Land and Water Conservation Fund is a federally funded grant program. At Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, we administer the state side of the program. We also administer the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Program, which is a subset of the Land and Water Conservation Fund. The changes that we're proposing to make don't impact the ORLAP program. So they're mostly specific to the stateside program. This funding is available to public entities and local units of government, as well as a handful of state agencies to acquire land for public outdoor recreation purposes, as well as to develop or rehabilitate basic outdoor recreation facilities. The program is governed by a set of administrative rules. So Chapter 736, Division 8 rules. And in these rules, we established the definitions of the program, eligibility requirements, the distribution of apportionment funding. The rules also talk about the application criteria, how we administer the program, the composition of the grant advisory committee, as well as emergency procedures. Next slide, please. All right, so the need for rulemaking. We are looking to revise the allocation of funding between Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, which is one of the 4 state agencies that's eligible to apply, as well as qualified agencies. So currently, we operate a grant cycle mostly on an annual basis, and it's been the case since about 2020. And so with these changes, we're looking to implement a competitive grant cycle at least once a biennium. And in the in-between year, OPRD could use the funding to fund eligible state park projects. Next slide, please. Okay. All right. So I just wanted to go through the different changes to the rules. These slides don't reflect the language that we're proposing. So if you wanted to look at what those changes are specifically in the rule itself, you can find the proposed rules on our website. So just a summary of the update. Rule number 15 is an administrative update. It changes the version of the federal manual that's referenced. There was recently an update made to the manual, and so we are updating our rules to reflect that correction. In rule number 25, we clarify that state agencies remain eligible to apply during competitive grant cycles. So let's talk about, again, the grant cycle frequency. Our current rules do not define how often a grant cycle should be made available. And so in these grant rule changes, we're proposing to define a competitive grant cycle at least once a year, so once a biennium. In the in-between year, those funds could be available to Oregon Parks and Recreation Department without there being a competitive grant cycle open to local units of government. It's written in such a way where OPRD does not, we may not always take those funds. It's written where we shall provide a competitive grant cycle every other year, but in the in-between year, we may use those funds for state park projects. Technically, Oregon Parks and Recreation Department could still compete during the competitive grant cycle. That would be pretty important to keep in there if the agency decides to not use the funds during the non-competitive in-between year. So we would still have the option to submit an application and apply and compete with all of the other projects statewide. Let's see here. I'll pause there and see if there's any additions or questions from Michelle or Katie.
If there are questions, there's a Q&A feature, and you can type in questions in the Q&A feature on your Zoom screen.
Thanks, Katie. The other change that we're making to this set of rules is currently the way that it's written is our Oregon Parks and Recreation Director has the ability to redistribute funds that come specifically from project underruns, cancellations, or any balances remaining due to reductions in scope. And those funds can be redistributed to either state or local projects. With these proposed changes, that would also apply to any balances from our regular apportionment when we solicit grant applications. So it's oftentimes we open a grant cycle and we don't receive enough applications to use up the available apportionment that were given. And so the changes would allow the director not only to redistribute money that has been previously assigned to projects, but maybe there was a balance in the grant, but also to redistribute just our regular pot of money that does not get obligated to a project. and it can be redistributed to either state or local projects. Let's see here. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so in that top bullet point, that again, during the in-between year, Oregon Parks and Recreation may use the apportionment dollars for eligible state park projects. Those projects would still need to submit an application. They would still need to go to our Oregon State Parks Commission for approval, and they would still need to be submitted to the National Park Service for approval. We're also updating the match section of the rules to reflect current practice. And so it expands the language so that it's inclusive of other grants being eligible to be used as match. You can also use local funds or labor as your source of match. And in the proposed rules, we're also increasing the minimum grant award from $50,000 up to $75,000, unless the director of the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department authorizes otherwise. Next slide, please. All right.
Great. Thank you so much, Naomi. I'm going to cover a little bit about the process for the rulemaking, and then we'll open it up to some, if there are any process-related questions. So public comment is open through July 9th at 5 p.m. And comments, we'll put a link to where you can comment on our website or via email, and we'll have all of that information at the end of the presentation. Once the comment period closes, staff will be reviewing and analyzing those comments, and all comments are posted on our rulemaking website. And then there will be a staff recommendation presented to the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission for their consideration in September. If adopted, the changes would be implemented for the 2027 grant cycle, not this current grant cycle. So if anyone has a question, please feel free to put it in the Q&A feature of chat. This would be if you have questions about the process or background. We will open it up for public comment following this question period, but it is an opportunity to answer any specific background or clarify any of the information that Naomi presented. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to discuss a little bit about the process for the hearing, and then we'll open up the public hearing. The hearing is to provide an opportunity for oral public comment. There will be no decisions made at this hearing. Each person will have up to 3 minutes to comment. And the commenters, if you would like to comment, please raise your hand and you'll be enabled to speak to provide your comment. And this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on our agency website. If you don't wish to comment, you can log off as soon as we start the commenting process or at the conclusion of the hearing. If you would like to comment with written comments, you can do so on our rulemaking website or in writing or via email at oprd.publiccomment@oprd.oregon.gov. And as I said, comments are accepted until July 9th at 5 p.m. In order to open the hearing, I need to read a script, and then if there's anyone who would like to comment, if you want to raise your hands. The script is, this hearing is now in session and being recorded to maintain permanent record. My name is Katie Gauthier. I'm the hearings officer today. Today is Monday, July 6th, and the time is 3:12 p.m. The purpose of the hearing is to provide an opportunity for public comment on the proposed rule changes to Division 8. by the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission, amendments to the Land and Water Conservation Fund rules. The agency invites comments on whether the other options should be considered for achieving the rule's goals while reducing any negative impact on business. In addition to presenting oral comments at this hearing, anyone can submit written comments until 5 p.m. on July 9th, which is the close of the public comment period. Comments received after the close of the public comment period will not be reviewed or considered by the agency unless the agency decides to extend the public comment period for everyone. The comments can be presented, the place to send public comments is on the screen. OPRD will not respond to questions during the hearing. After the close of the public comment period, staff will prepare a report to the agency, which will be available upon request and presented to the Parks Commission for their consideration of adoption of the rules. If you have any questions, please put them as part of your testimony. Each speaker will be unmuted and allowed up to 3 minutes to provide their comment. If there's anyone who has a comment, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, so we will conclude the public hearing. On the screen are the locations of where to submit written public comments by July 9th, and we thank you for joining us for the hearing this afternoon. Thank you.